Hey, good morning. Recording the Usable Marketing Podcast on Facebook Live today. And while I head to the airport to go to Denver for a client engagement, client who is in healthcare. So let me do my little intro. Welcome back to the Usable Marketing Podcast. I'm Ginger Zumeda. And what I want to talk about today is customers or clients or heroes. I was having a conversation with a colleague yesterday, and we were talking about the hero's journey. And it's something I've talked about a little bit on this podcast, but maybe I'm realizing not enough. Here's the thing. When folks ask me anything about marketing, should I do social media? Should I be doing, Google pay-per-click? I'm not getting conversions on my page. Whatever it happens to be. Where I usually start is asking them, okay, well, who's your customer? And, tell me more about your customer. What do they want? What journey are they on? What's their real problem? What do they read? Who do they follow? All of these questions. And I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised by how often people have difficulty answering those questions. Or they have no difficulty answering those questions, but they give very broad, what I would call inert responses. They may have a very crystal clear idea of maybe what the demographics on their spreadsheets or their reporting says that they are. It's like, well, the average age of our client is 43, skews men, middle management, whatever that happens to be. But the challenge with being that general, honestly, is it doesn't give you the power or the juice that you actually need to go back and target them, right? And to even do more than that, beyond target them, to present an offer to them, a value proposition, basically, that they will find enticing, and that will be so enticing that will make them want to actually take an action and change their behavior, okay? So what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit of the hero's journey, right? So let's talk about the hero's journey. It's so funny. I was actually doing a presentation to launch the Marketing Canvas Masterclass, which, by the way, if you have not signed up for that thing, it is going to be epic. There's going to be so much training. It's me live with you, working on everything that I have talked about on this podcast so far. Very intensive. It is not for the weak. I mean, if you want to buckle down, massively crunch on your marketing plan, figure out who your persona or your hero, that's what we're going to talk about today. Your hero is, figure out the enticing offer, figure what channels, blah, 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 all that stuff. And you want to do it like amazingly fast because we're going to do it together, workshop style. You got to sign up for the masterclass. So for that, just FYI, go to TMC, like for the Marketing Canvas, tmcmastery.com. Okay, now let's talk about the hero's journey. All right, I was cutting a little video. Actually, you'll see it if you go there. If you go where I just told you, there's a little bit of a webinar where I'm teaching kind of some, giving you a sneak peek into the masterclass, so you'll see me talk about this. But do you guys remember the movie Ratatouille? I freaking loved that movie. That was the movie about the little rat named Remy who became like this major chef. A car just nearly sideswiped me right now. And his story basically was he was this little rat, and man, he loved food. And he understood a little bit about food. And one day through a series of events, he finds himself kind of working behind the scenes in a restaurant. But there's actually three major figures in his life, but right now I'm only going to talk about two. One, there's Gaston. Gaston is his mentor, right? Gaston wrote this cookbook called Anyone Can Cook. And he would kind of whisper to Remy, like, you can do this, you have the power, blah, blah, blah. And then there was this evil guy named Anton Ego, if that tells you anything about him, who was like, not everyone can be an artiste. You have to, you have to be trained in French and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, Remy ends up cooking this amazingly accomplished yet simple meal, Ratatouille, hence the name of the movie, that completely wins him over. And then Anton Ego realizes that he was wrong, that in fact anyone can cook. And that's kind of what I want to talk about. There's two things. One, anyone can market. And two, what was significant about that story is that it follows a classic hero's journey. And knowing the hero's journey or the basic principles of it are absolutely critical to being able to put together an offer when you're marketing that's actually going to move people, kind of incite a new behavior, because you tap into something that is so deep and so human to them that it's like literally we are wired, chemically, DNA wise, to respond to stories. All right, so here's the basic story structure. It's very complex, but there's usually a context where you are setting the stage. Your hero is in a world. You have to understand their world. There's a conflict that sets them on their journey. So the hero is in their world and then realizes something is wrong with this world. And that wrong can be anything. That wrong can be, I don't like this particular kind of toothpaste because it doesn't have the taste that I want, or my teeth aren't getting white enough. That wrong can be, I'm not getting enough clients. I'm a marketer and I'm not getting enough clients. I'm responsible for growth. That wrong can be, I'm going to start jogging and I need to get fit for a new tennis shoe. But basically they're in the world, and then something happens where there is a gap, there's a distance between where they currently are, their current reality, and where they see themselves in the future. It's kind of a future identity, where they see themselves in the future. And inside of that gap is what they believe is their need. Okay, so you have to understand context, conflict, and then there's resolution. So what I want you guys to start thinking about is, I want you to stop thinking about customers or clients or members or whatever you call your tribe, right? I want you to stop thinking of them as customers, and I want you to start inserting the word hero. Because if you think about the hero, like, who is my brand's hero? You are not the hero to your customer. Your customer is the hero that is on a journey, and you are like Gaston or Obi-Wan Kenobi or Gandalf, whoever it happens to be, to your customer or your hero, and you're helping them complete their journey. If you actually think of all of the way that you treat your hero, all of the way that you talk to your hero, the solutions you provide to your hero in that way, you're going to start making some distinctions that are going to make you think about different options that you have to talking to them. And that's really critical, because, listen, the formula for doing business really well is very, very simple. It's, you serve as many customers, let's call them heroes now, you serve as many heroes as possible, and then they just can't resist coming to you, right? The great Keith Cunningham, who I adore, said it's really simple. Find out what they want, go and get it for them, go and get it rather, and give it to them. Find out what they want, go and get it, and give it to them. If you keep doing this, you're going to realize that customers just naturally come to you, and there's absolutely no friction, and it starts to become effortless. So what I want you to think about is, when you think about your hero, first you really have to understand their world. And in order to understand their world, you've got to be able to really define, what does their day look like? Who are they with? Who are they listening to? What do they read? What do they watch? What podcasts do they listen to? I think I'm supposed to exit here. No, I'm not going to do it. Who do they follow? What websites do they visit? This is really important. Go to Amazon and pull up the books that they would be pulling to try to get the knowledge, that secret knowledge, to fill that gap that they perceive between where they are and where they are tomorrow, or where they want to be, right? So first, understand their world fully, understand them and their world fully. That's figuring out the context. Second, understand their conflict. What journey is it that they are on? What is the gap? Why did they go on that journey in the first place? What was that problem recognition where they realized, I need a new this, or I need a something to solve this problem, or I wish I blah, blah, blah. But where did the problem recognition happen? That's figuring out the conflict. And then what you need to do is you need to go find your value proposition, your brand promise. But let's start talking about that as an offer. And you need to align your offer basically to their need, to what's missing in their world. If you can do that, what you're going to realize is that you now have all of the power, the knowledge about what you need to say to them, where you need to say it, because you'll have the channels, because you understood their world, and how you present your offer to them in a way that is spoken in terms of benefits, not features. More on that later. We're going to go massively deep into benefits versus features in the masterclass. And you'll start to have a completely new, radically new understanding of what you need to do for your hero. So that's my proposition for you today. Stop saying customer, stop saying client, and start saying hero. And if you're going to talk about your hero, you sure as well better be able to talk about their story, because that's what makes a hero. It's a story. So that's what I have for you today. I will see you next time. But before I go, I'm going to tell you one more time, the masterclass, you're going to love it. It's going to be so cool. It just opened. So listen, depending on when you're listening to this, you can either get on the wait list for the next one. But if you are listening to this anywhere near real time, registration is open right now. It's open for 1 week. It closes this Friday. It's going to be epic. If you're listening to this right now, I'm not going to say what we're offering for, because it's ridiculously low. Way lower than it'll ever be offered before, because this is the first time. It's a beta, and I want to deliver so much freaking value for you, but you need to show up. And the reason it's the price is so low is because I'm going to count on your testimonial after we finish, because it's going to be so great, and I want as many as I possibly can, hence lowering the price. All right, so that's it for today. I will catch you next time.